What's going on, stackers? So in this video I'm going to be sharing with you how to create an inspirational colouring book for Amazon KDP using Canva. So welcome back to StackinProfit. My name's Paddy and over here we give you the tools and resources to learn, grow and master passive income streams so that you can live a life of freedom. Now this video is kind of a part 2 to this video. So this was Red Hot KDP niche, Amazon niche research for colouring books, and in this video I shared this niche just here, inspirational colouring books for girls ages 8 to 12, and in the video I asked if you wanted me to show you how I would actually create this book, and a lot of people want to see that, so that's what this video's about. As we can see just here, a lot of people want to see that video. Now if you want to see this video, the one that we're looking at, I'll link it right there right now in the right hand corner so you can go through and check it out. Now if we go over to Amazon, this is the niche that we took a look at. We can see it's still a pretty good score with 57%. The average BSR is still really good as well. So what we're going to do in this video is show you how I would actually create this book. Now this niche is a really great niche, and there's loads of niches out there like this, and I actually share them within the LCB Vault. We have a really cool spreadsheet full with niches and lots of good stuff. So if you want to come and check out the LCB Vault, there will be a link down in the description below. So anyway, how would I go about creating this book? Well, first of all, I'd need to get the right dimensions. Now for most colouring books, they are 8.5 times 11. So what I've done is just type that in here. We're going to do 100 pages, not in the video, but just for the book. And then white and bleed yes, because if you have the interior go right to the edge of the page, you have to have bleed. In this instance, I always just make sure it's bleed in case I change my mind while creating the book. So 8.5 times 11. From here I would just go down to continue. Now this is all in tangent templates. If you don't have tangent templates, I suggest getting it. It's only $59 I believe, one-time payment, and they have some really cool stuff. So if you don't have tangent templates, I highly recommend getting it. Anyway, KDP helper, that's where we went. We put in the dimensions and now it tells us what we actually need. So if we scroll back up, if we go on to interior just here, and now if we scroll down to Canva, because that's what we're going to be using, we can see the interior dimensions is here. So we need 8.625 times 1125. So I would take this, go over to Canva, go to create design just here, type in custom dimensions, and then this is where I would put these dimensions just here, right dimensions for the interior. Then once I've done that and that's all ready to go, I then need to do some research. So this is going to be an inspirational colouring book. I would do it on mandalas or geometric patterns, something like that. So I would come over to Creative Fabrica, type in mandala colouring pages, and then I've come to this page, and as we can see there's lots of mandalas that we could use, and they're in packs of 30. Look at these. Some of these look really great and will look pretty good with some inspirational quotes on them as well. So that's what I would do. Come here, I would download some of these ready, and then I would also need at least 50 inspirational quotes. Now one of the best ways to find quotes is here on Creative Fabrica as well, just by typing in inspirational quotes, and then we can see there's a lot here. Now I wouldn't just take these, download them and put them in the book. I don't see the point in that, because Canva has some really great features which allows you to actually create colouring in fonts. So you can use any font that you want and turn it into a colouring page. If you don't understand what I mean, just wait a few more minutes and I'll show you in the example that I already have. But we can see there's lots of different quotes here. So I would go through these, taking notes of the quotes that I want to use, and then put them into a spreadsheet or just into a notepad. Now, if you're worried about using quotes in a book, I suggest reading up about using quotes as fair use so you can get an understanding of how you can use them, because using quotes, you can use them in books as long as you're not infringing on someone else's IP. So as long as you're not using celebrities, sports, TV shows, films, things like that, you should be all right. But again, I highly suggest reading up on using quotes as fair use. Now, you could use quotes or quotes from different people in your book, but if you want to use quotes from one person, then that is a no-go. You'd have to mix and match your quotes. Now, with that being said, again, I do highly suggest you reading up on using quotes as fair use so you can get a better understanding. But then I would actually use Pinterest as well and just type in inspirational quotes for teens. And then I would go through all of these quotes, finding ones that I like. You have to be odd to be number one. That's kind of all right. But I would go through all of these quotes, finding at least 50. So this one looks good. Good things take time. And then I would just take this URL like that, go and put that into a notepad or a spreadsheet. So I'd put that there like so. And then I would just keep going through all of these quotes, finding ones that I'd like to use in my book until I had 50 of them. So 50 quotes would create a 100-page book, and then that would be your book. So that's what I would do. And then to actually create that, I'd just use Canva again. So we put the right dimensions in for the interior, and then I would just start creating. So what I've done, I've created 3 examples here, and then I'm going to show you on the last one exactly how I created it. So let's take a look at these 3 examples so you can see what they look like. So this is the first one. We can see I have a border around the edge. I then have a mandala pattern, and then with a quote on top using just a couple of different fonts. So I design my pages like this, the same way that I create my covers, just using a couple of different fonts that complement each other. And we can see this looks pretty good, and I've just put a little drop shadow behind that one. So let's just do that, change that. Let's take a look at the second. So very similar. You only fail when you stop trying. Again, we have that border, we have the mandala, and then a couple of different fonts, then with a little drop shadow behind it just to make it pop and stand off the page. And then the third one, again, a couple of different fonts, and you can see that they actually look really, really good. So how did I actually create these? Well, I'm going to show you an example of this one. But first, this is what I would do. I would create 50 pages like this using different fonts, making it pop. So that way, 50 pages would create a 100-page colouring book. Now, for my adult colouring books, I tend to keep them 100 pages. 50 colouring pages, and for my kids colouring books I tend to keep them 25 colouring pages, which turns out to around 50 pages per book. Now let's actually take a look at this. So we started off, this is how I actually created the page. Started off with a border. Now I like to have a border around my colouring pages, not all the time but sometimes. Then I added the mandala, so we can see really, really simple. Then I added this, so just one word, believe, with a drop shadow behind it. Now what I want to talk about really quick is the effects that Canva now has. So if we click on here, on the font, if we go to effects, we now have all these different options, and this splice just here is what has made it into a colouring in font. So this is what I like in Canva now, because any font that you have, if we look at my fonts just here on the left hand side, just give that a second. If we look at all my fonts just here, I have a lot, and I can turn any of these into a colouring in font like this because of this splice effect. So this is why I really like Canva, and why I don't just take quotes from Creative Fabrica and whack them on the page, because doing this, using these new effects that you have, gives you the options to actually create some really nice looking quotes by using different fonts that you can actually purchase over on Creative Fabrica. So again, that's why I don't just take the fonts from Creative Fabrica and whack them on a page, because we can design a lot better just by using the fonts that you currently own. So let's move that back up. They do have a shadow feature, but let's just go back one, but you can't add the shadow onto another effect. So the way around that is just duplicate this. So we would go here, we would duplicate, and then make all this black, and then just push that behind the font, and that's how I get that little drop shadow. So let's move that back there. We have believe, and then after that I moved on to the next word, so believe in, and then the next word, believe in yourself. And then I also added just a little heart at the bottom just to make it look good, which we can see that just here. So that's a really, really simple process that you can follow to actually create colouring books. Now, one thing I do want to note really quick is all the fonts that I currently use, I purchase them from Creative Fabrica. So if we go up to here, go to fonts, we can check out all of the fonts. Now, I do this a few times a month. I come in, find all the fonts that I want, I download them because I have my subscription here on Creative Fabrica, and then because I actually have Canva Pro, I can upload my fonts. So let's click on here, click on there. Because I have the Canva Pro and I pay monthly for it, I can upload my own fonts. So all the fonts that I download here on Creative Fabrica, I can upload them here and then actually create some really nice designs. So what you see here, the fonts just here, is what I actually purchased over on Creative Fabrica. So my point being, you can make a hell of a lot better designs once you start paying for your fonts. So please remember that as well. And if you want a 30-day free trial of Canva, I will link that down below as well. So that's it. That's how I would create an inspirational colouring book for girls. Pretty simple. Follow these steps along because you can create some really nice looking books in lots of different niches just by using these principles. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Also, go hit subscribe and hit that little bell icon so you can be notified for any further videos. That being said, I've been Paddy, this has been Stacking Profit, and I'll see you again soon.